Learning Center at Prince Sultan University presents this webinar on Pearson on Moodle.
Welcome to all of the team. My name is Fuad Ibrahim. I've been working with Pearson now in Saudi Arabia. This is into my 9th year. So I'm working with all of our digital solutions. So I lead up the digital solution team here in the Middle East, actually. So we cover Saudi, Bahrain, and Gulf and Levant and Turkey. So we have a big footprint of digital users in Saudi Arabia. It's approximately, you could say, 35% of the entire region. So we have a significant number of users. This has been a very good trajectory since post-COVID. And as one of the big users in the region, PSU has reached out to us from the technology department just to lead up a quick introduction to what our platforms give and what kind of services we have. So if there are no initial expectations or queries in the chat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the initial presentation. Ashwaq, can you just give me like a flag if there's anything that comes up in the chat?
You got it, Fad. No worries.
Thank you so much. So yeah, just to give you a quick introduction, many of you may or may not have heard of Pearson and what we provide on campus. So there are different colleges using our Pearson platform. It's, I think I would say the biggest footprint of users for the digital portal will probably be College of Science, College of Business, and maybe the foundation year. And this is what it provides. So we have content, which is provided by our traditional publishing team. So they've started to digitalize a lot of the test banks that we traditionally have had, the online assessment, and of course the customization of the course. So those of you who may have your LMS, so I believe you're using Moodle on campus, generally your course, your CRNs will come empty. So you need to build content yourself. So this is what, as a publisher, we have now become a digital provider of content. And of course, you have many stakeholders. So from your angle, you're looking for a repository of test banks, content, fresh content, PowerPoints, resources, etc. But from a student perspective, they want to know what they can use this for outside the classroom. So for them, it's about self-study, it's about preparation for their exams, and it's about improving their results. So when they leave the classroom, or if they've been missing for 2 weeks, or if they joined late, they have a single point of reference for all of the content in the curriculum. So let's play a quick short video just to give you an understanding of what the MyLab is. Hopefully it's embedded and working. Let's just check. Okay. If not, I'll have to go out of this and so Ashwaq, can I just confirm, can you hear the audio?
Yes, we can. We can't hear the audio no more, Fad, but that's fine.
Okay, great. So that's a little bit of a teaser or an introduction to what the MyLab has. So if you ever wanted to consider using the platform, of course, if I just go back into presentation mode, these are a couple of areas that we want to just look into. So if you wanted to do your student registration, some of the steps, how to use the platform, what resources you have, and then technical support. So there is a short video that we've embedded. So when we share the PowerPoint, this will be available for you. Some quick, easy steps of how students will register. So they would need an access code, which is the final part, but this is just an initial, just making sure that you have the correct email address, institutional one. If you're using Moodle, this will be automatically done. So there are some departments that use Moodle. They will take the SIS information, which is basically the student information system, which has their first name, family name, and their university email. So it will make things much more stickier and easier to get the correct information. But if you're using the MyLab as standalone, then this is what the students would need to do. So then they'll come in and they put in their registration details and an access code, which is normally distributed in a local bookstore, either on campus or an online store, depending on what your department chooses. So Ashwaq, my colleague, she can signpost you to the correct distributor to be able to get the access code for your university. Okay, so how do you use the platform? Very nice, simple. If you want to bookmark this, mlm.pearson.com. Okay, creating a course, very simple process. Let's just see if we can get this up.
Here's how to create or copy a course in MyLab and Mastering.
Is the audio audible, Ashwaq, or not? No? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
First, sign into your Pearson account at mlm.pearson.com. Next, from the My Courses page, select Create Copy Course. To create a brand new course, use the Choose from Catalog field to search for the new course you'd like to create. To copy an existing course, choose Select from My Existing Course List and select a course from the list to copy. You can also copy a colleague's course if they've shared their course ID with you. Once you've found the course you'd like to create or copy, choose Select. Next, choose a course type. If you want students to enroll in your course, make sure to select Student Use Course. Give your course a name and set the course and enrollment dates. Course dates determine how long your students have access to your course. Make sure to set your course dates so your students have the access they need for the full term. Enrollment dates determine when your students are able to enroll in your course. When you're finished, select Create Course. You're done. Your course will take a few minutes to create and may take longer during back-to-school periods. You'll receive an email when it's ready. Visit our Unified Help and Support link in the description to learn more.
Okay.
Here's how to create.
Nice, simple steps on how to actually get into your portal using your user credentials. You will normally only get user credentials if you've made an adoption. So what does that mean? You need to reach out to your commercial account manager, which is Aswaq Subei. She would then verify your account. So each instructor would need to request an account using their institutional email, not their private emails. And then once we've verified that you and your students are adopting a certain title, then your accounts would be opened up and you would be able to access our material. If you don't have an adoption, then that will not be the case. So if you please reach out to Ashwaq, you will be able to explore that on a case-by-case basis. So once you've assigned content, once you've created content, of course you want to assign content. So there is a short little video again, which I'm going to play, and it will just guide you through how we can assign content within our Pearson portal. If it comes up. Oh.
Hello, welcome to a short webinar on best practices for creating assignments in MyLab. From the course homepage, you can scroll down to the Assignments tab and click on Manage Assignments. Many of you will be familiar with this classic view of the Assignment Manager. However, as of July 2021, there is a new version that has some really great features that I will show at the end of this webinar. So I'm going to click over to that version for the remainder of our time together. I'm going to close the left-hand navigation here so we have more real estate to work with. Many courses come preloaded with assignments, as this one has. You can scroll down to see those assignments. If you would like to edit one of those assignments, you can click on the options menu on the right and click edit, and many other options as well. If your course does not come preloaded with assignments, you can import pre-built assignments by coming up to create. This is also where we'll look at creating assignments from scratch in a few minutes. You can import courses from another course if you have a colleague or one of your own courses that you want to bring assignments from, or import pre-built assignments. I would recommend selecting no here. And many courses have a wide variety of assignments you can now import, including things like video assignments, which have media interspersed with questions for the students to watch and learn and then answer questions. Most of these homework assignments are already in my course, so I'm not going to import them, but if you wanted to check the box to import those assignments, you could. You could also rename the assignments before importing if you like. Once you have imported assignments or already have preloaded assignments, we can edit it. Sometimes I like to get a quick snapshot of what is in the assignment, and by clicking on question details under the drop-down, you can see how many questions are there. For example, this one has 21 questions. You can see a couple of review questions at the beginning and even some review questions interspersed throughout. These are called enhanced assignments that have been intentionally designed with review in mind as the students are going through. After maybe taking a peek at what's there, I'm going to go ahead and edit the assignment by clicking on the options menu and selecting edit. You can change the name, decide whether or not you want the grades to be sent to your LMS gradebook. From this page, we can see on the right-hand side which questions are in the assignment. Down the left-hand side is the entire book available to us. We are currently working in 2.4, so I'll go ahead and change this to Chapter 2, Section 4. There are 39 questions available in this section. Our homework currently has 21 questions. One of my favorite buttons on this page is the Preview and Remove button. By hitting Preview and Remove, I'm now able to scroll through the assignment, decide if I want to keep questions or remove them. I can hit Reload to see what the algorithmic generations of those questions are. So let's say I decide to remove this one, continue through, that looks good. Maybe I'll remove that one, continue through, and so on. So it allows you to see what your students are going to be working on, decide to remove the question if you want to. And as I'm actively hitting remove, those questions have been removed from my list. And I'm now down to 18 questions instead of the original 21. You can also create assignments from scratch. Clicking under create, I will create a homework. Give it a name, decide whether to send to your LMS. Select the chapter and section that you would like to work from. Chapter 2, Section 3. You can even sort by objective if you like. These are the 107 questions available just from section Chapter 2.3. The questions down the left-hand side match your textbook exactly. So 2.3.15 is referring to Chapter 2, Section 3, number 15. As you scroll, each of these ear icons indicates that the question is screen reader friendly and accessible. These graph symbols indicate an interactive graphing problem for the students. You can also include media in your assignments. If you click on the media tab, there will be, depending on the book, videos and resources and interactive figures, animations, links to the textbook that students can engage with before completing their questions. These are all videos. I will add them in. The time is listed, and then I could intersperse questions that the students will work on after they watch those videos. I like to sit down with my book open and maybe decide I want these particular question numbers, add them to my assignment, and then go back through and preview and remove again as well. I have not paid attention closely to which objectives and questions these are, but you can intersperse your videos by checking the boxes and moving them around with the questions that they relate to, and then the students will watch a video, do some questions, watch a video, do some questions, and so on. The settings page, you can really customize how your students are going to engage with the assignment. You can set due dates. You can allow late submission for a penalty, which I do, usually maybe 80% credit for late work. You can limit the number of attempts that students can work each question. The default is they get unlimited attempts in sets of 3. I changed this to 5 attempts. So they have 5 sets of 3. So sorry you're wrong, sorry you're wrong, sorry you're wrong, 3 times, and then a new version. They get 5 of those for a total of 15 tries, really. You can require students to work the media before they can answer questions. I like to do that. You can adjust the learning aids across an entire assignment. For example, Help Me Solve This walks them through step by step and has them fill in blanks as they go. View an Example is the same script as Help Me Solve This, but it does not expect the students to fill in blanks as they go. So I actually like to uncheck View an Example and allow the students just to have Help Me Solve This, which requires them to be a little bit more engaged with the process as they go through. If we go back to the question listings, I want to point out this View Assignment Details button. It's right at the top of the list of questions, and there are a lot more customizations that you can make for your assignments. For example, you can set the numeric answer tolerance, either by a certain number of decimals or a percentage. You can give certain percentage credit for unsimplified answers. You can also change the tries within each question. Again, the default here was 3, but if you wanted to force the students to get a new version of the question every time they missed it, you could change that to 1, for example. Or if you wanted them to only have 1 version of the question the entire time they work on that problem and never get a right answer, you could change it to 99 as a max. You can also edit the learning aids at a question level here. Select here, you'll see that I unchecked View an Example for the entire assignment. But if I also wanted to turn off Help Me Solve This on certain problems to require them to finish that question without any learning aids, I can do that as well, just for that question. Now let's take a look at quizzes and tests and how they differ from homework. I'll call this Simple Quiz. In a homework assignment, students are doing each question repeatedly until they get it correct and move forward. In a quiz assignment, they complete all of the questions at once, submit them all at one time, and receive a single score for the whole quiz. You can allow multiple attempts at the quiz, but each attempt is taken in one sitting. One of my favorite features of quizzes is the ability to pool questions. If you click on multiple questions that have similar objectives and similar difficulty, you can hit the word pool, and this means that each student will get 1 question from this group of 4. I would also pay attention maybe to the length of time that the questions each take, and I might not want to pair this 8-minute question with the rest, but that would take a little bit more scrutiny than I'm going to give right now. But as we continue scrolling down, I can group questions together and pool them. Those objectives are not the same, so I might not want to do that, but you get the idea. As I pool questions, each student will get 1 of these questions, 1 of these questions, and 1 of these questions. And what that does is that's going to create more randomization for each student, or if they're taking the quiz multiple times. For me, I have like a 20-question homework and then about a 5 or 6 question quiz following that up to basically say, all right, how well did you learn the material on the homework? Now you don't have any Help Me Solve This, so show me an example. And now you're in a little bit of a timed situation, submitting your answers all at once and getting your feedback. The settings for quizzes are also quite different. You can still allow late submissions. However, when limiting number of attempts, you're limiting the number of attempts for the assignment, not for each question. So if it were a test, we'd probably want to have this set to 1. If it were a quiz, you might have it set to 3. You can set the time limit, say 30 minutes for a quiz. You can scramble the question order if you want, show the time remaining if you want. Generally, learning aids are turned off, but you could choose to show them in review mode if you like. And then just decide how you'd like to display the results. I often will hide the results completely until I've received their written work submitted in my LMS. And then after I've graded it and submitted it, I'll come back and change this setting to allow them to review it anytime after the due date. But there's lots of combinations that you can make there. One concern with quizzing and testing is security. So let me show you how you can turn on the lockdown browser. If we return to our main menu navigation and click on Manage Course in the upper left, down to Edit MML Settings, and then scroll down to Learning Aids and Test Options, click Edit. From here, you have the option to turn on the Pearson Lockdown Browser. You also have the option to turn on automated proctoring for this course if your campus subscribes to either ProctorU or Respondus Monitor. That requires your login information, so I'm not going to check that for now. You can also restrict the IP address range. I'll check those two boxes and show you what that looks like when you are working with a test. Back to our assignment manager and the quiz that I created, I'm going to go to the assignment settings page, which can also be accessed through edit. And now I have the option to turn on the lockdown browser or require a specific IP address range. If you have a testing center where the students are required to take their test, you can add that IP address range here. While discussing assignment settings, there's an important spot where you can change settings for many assignments all at once. If we click on Manage back on the Assignment Manager, we can go to Bulk Edit Assignment Settings. From here, you can choose an assignment type, homework, quizzes, or tests. I'll select homework. You can change the settings for all of the assignments, or you can select specific assignments. All of the options on the settings page are here. So if I wanted to say, for example, make attempts per question be a limit of 5 for the entire course, I can select that and apply it to the entire course. If I wanted to turn off view an example for the entire course, I could do that here by unchecking view an example and then applying settings for the entire course. Once you have your assignments created and your settings as you like them, the last important step to take is to set up the weighting in your gradebook. From the course home, click on Manage Gradebook. Across the top, you will see a Change Weights button. If you're linked to an LMS, you will also see a Grade Sync Settings button. Clicking on Change Weights first, you will see the option to use category weighting, where you can select what each category's portion of the grade will be, or you can just use assignment weighting. You can also add categories if you have, say, for example, a review homework that you want to be worth 0%. Down below, you can change which category an assignment belongs to. You can also change the weight that an assignment has within that category. The default is that all have 10 points. In a moment, I'm going to show you how these grades will transfer to a learning management system. If you would like them to show up over there as a percentage, you could set all of these as 100, and then the grades will show up as a score out of 100 on the learning management side. Lastly, on the right-hand side, you can also omit results so that those assignments will not have any impact on the grade. For example, these readiness quizzes are personalizing this readiness homework, and so we don't want the students to be penalized for how they did on those quizzes. They will get a score for the homework they eventually complete, so I will omit those results. Be sure to save at the bottom. Let's go back to the gradebook, and I'm going to discuss your grade sync settings options if you have a learning management system. Click on the grade sync settings button at the top of the page. You have 3 options for your grade sync with your learning management system. You can either send the raw assignment scores, which means if a homework has 17 points in it, it will be a score out of 17. And if a homework has 23 points, it will be a score out of 23. Some learning management systems can handle this okay, others cannot. My particular LMS treats 17 and 23 as different, and there's not a way to make them the same. So I would prefer to use weighted scores, and I would recommend to faculty use weighted scores. Here you can see the 10s and the 100s that I set on the other page. That is the spot where you actually set the assignment weights, but these are the weights that will show up in your learning management system. You also want to have these boxes checked if you want the assignment to be sent to your LMS. Your last option is to only sync the overall score, which will send whatever your weighted score in MyLab is over to the learning management system. A total grade, 83% would be an 83 out of 100. If you do this, however, you will not have the ability to deep link any of your assignments inside of your learning management system. For example, if the LMS is capable, assignments showing up in your calendar or in your modules, all you will have is a score in the gradebook, no access to assignments themselves in the LMS. Often in your class, you will have students who need more time on tests or a different due date than everyone else. If you come to Manage and then click on Adjust Student Settings, you can either approach these settings for a specific student or a specific assignment. I can add a student. At the moment, it's just me in this course. But add and hit save, and then select that student. Let's select a quiz, so I have a time limit. I can then add or remove assignments for that student. I'll add the sample quiz that I created. This quiz was set for 30 minutes, but I can change their time to 60 minutes. You can also approach it from the assignment side. So if I know there's a particular assignment and I want to add a group of students and change the settings for all of those students, again, just me listed here, but if I had 3 or 4 students, I could add them all and make the same change. Say, for example, the volleyball team needed to take the test a day later. I could do that all at once on the Change Student Settings page. Another great tool for managing your assignments is by adding tags to them. Under Manage, select Add Tags. As you can see, this course already has Enhanced Assignments tag and an Integrated Review tag. You can easily add a tag, say for support content, or for chapter reviews, or exams, or any sort of tag you want. I have a mastery review that is only for certain students, so I'm able to add that mastery review tag and then assign it to a certain group of students based on tags. There are also student tags that I won't spend time on today, but you can create a student tag as well in the gradebook and then link groups of students to groups of assignments, which is a really great tool. Lastly, I'm going to show you some of the cool new things that the new assignment manager does where the classic assignment manager doesn't. You can drag and drop on the left-hand side by grabbing these dots without having to go to a separate menu. Your tags are displayed here, and you can filter by multiple tags. You can filter by assignments. You can filter by a due date range. Really nice filtering option. You can search if you just want to look for anything that has the letters HW in it. You can see that. Or even just the word readiness in it. You can see that. And there's the 4 readiness assignments that came preloaded. Anything you want to search in this box will filter that window for you. You can add due dates just by clicking right here on this page. Don't have to open up the settings page or go to the change dates and assign status page. You can add it all right here. You can assign or unassign with a single click, again, right on this page without having to go to an alternate settings page. But probably my very favorite option is the calendar view. From the calendar view, I can sit down at the beginning of my term and I can actually just drag and drop assignments directly onto the calendar for when I want them to be due. Or during the week, you spend a little more time on a section than you plan to, I can just come to this calendar and I can grab the assignment, drag it to the new date, and it will automatically update the settings and when that assignment is due. Really cool new feature. You can also assign or unassign from this page as well. Dark blue indicates that it's assigned. Gray indicates that it's not. Thank you for watching.
Fantastic. Thank you for your attention. So I think really what that summarizes is the core benefits of the MyLab system. How can you be assigning certain content? Do you want to create your own content? Do you want to use ready-made content from our test banks? The different ways that you can configure that, adding tags so that you can differentiate the different nature of assignments, and also if you have an LMS, how you can configure the grade synchronization. So, I mean, to be honest, I think we've gone through quite a lot in a short space of time. We have an additional piece which you can see in your own time. It's about performance, because of course, students can use the platform for self-study. There will be like multimedia libraries, videos, simulations, especially for the CBA, College of Business Administration. There are a lot of case studies for economics, marketing, operations management, supply chain. All these kind of subjects have a lot of case studies. Students can go in and play around and explore that. But more importantly, from a teacher perspective, you have all of the resources that you need to be able to teach this particular topic. So once you've done all of that, you can actually see how much time students have spent on the self-study, how much time they're spending on their actual core assessment and their core assignments, and you can see it in the performance area. So there is a little video that will walk you through. So the short webinar that we've covered today really has looked at the core features and functionalities of the platform, but this is additional items for performance when you want to see what your students have actually done, how much they've spent on task, on time, and then you can take that forward and pick and choose what grades you'd like to extract. So either you can extract it as an Excel. This is one of the most commonly used kind of ways of the grade book, or you can synchronize with your LMS if you're using your Moodle, and you can synchronize the grade sync function that was shared earlier with the weights and the scores and so on. So we'll just move to the next one. So for students, you might be thinking, okay, how do I get my students started? We do have like a student orientation video Again, this can be shared with students on first day of class. We have it in English and Arabic, but as your students, as a private institution, I believe most of your students have a high standard of English. So sharing the English video would be more than acceptable. So we do have a student orientation video, which basically, if I just give you a flavor, it just walks them through. So without actually playing the video, it gives them an introduction to the landing screen, what they will expect to see on the homepage, by navigating on the left-hand side, what kind of material do they have? So he spoke about video and resource library, the self-study plan, of course, the electronic ebook. And then in addition to that, any of the assessment and assignments that you are assigning, and then they can have a look at their grade book, and then they have some other additional items depending on the lab. Okay, so it will go through, you can see here, all chapters. Now, Sullivan Math, this is a very famous author, has a lot of items. Now, not all books will have this. You've got about 8 or 9 different multimedia options, as you can see. Some of them will, some of the My Labs will have it, some of them won't. You can see that we have some animations. So again, if you have a quantitative-based subject like statistics, mathematics, finance, accounting, econ, this will be very, very useful to be working through step by step these kind of quantitative-based problems, but also for your qualitative subjects like marketing, operational management, and any of the other subjects that require more input, and that there is a greater need to create content. You can actually be creating content yourself. There's essays that can be assigned, case studies, as we said. So for example, in marketing, they have a nice simulation I saw recently about the marketing mix. Students go in there, they're challenged with a kind of scenario or case study, and they have to resolve it. And then they will get guided as they answer through the case study. So it's a live case study, and it will help them along the way. The ebook, as you can see, it's embedded. So students will be guided to certain pages. So as you can see, within the ebook, so our enhanced ebook, normally we have embedded icons that will guide them to different activities. So it could be a solution, or it could be an activity or an example. Some books have it, some books don't, as we mentioned, similar to the multimedia library. Okay, and of course, all of the other nooks and crannies. So in the ebook, of course, students can be writing their own notes. You can be sending notes to your students. So to the entire class, you could be writing English or Arabic, just to bookmark, because the student's not going to read 300, 400 pages, right? I mean, we don't even do that nowadays. So for students, by bookmarking important pages, this will be a good way to keep them on task and on track with your curriculum outline and what you're teaching and the scope of work. So you'll be able to then just identify the pages that they need to cover, and they'll go in and they will see that bookmarked, or you can write notes and they can follow your notes and make sure that they have that, and even print that out so that they have it for their reference. Of course, their assessment, which will be identified in the assignment library. And then, of course, they get to practice, and then they get feedback depending on whether it's a homework or a quiz. Homework will give the answer after each question. As you can see at the bottom, it says check answer. So after each question, they get a chance to answer it correctly. And if they haven't, they're able to check the answer. So it minimizes cheating. But for a quiz or for a test, no. Answers, you can do the settings, they will show at the end, and then they'll get feedback on each item. So it really depends on whether you want them to see feedback after the due date or whether you don't want them to see it at all. For quizzes and tests, you have a higher level of security. But for homework, no, unfortunately. So students will get to check the answer each time. So it's good. It minimizes cheating. They don't feel the need to cheat. And it kind of eases them in. You're scaffolding the work. So by allowing them to see practically what the answers are, they start to get a greater understanding of the content in that subject. As you can see, there's a lot of different variety for the students in terms of question help me solve this, or view a similar example. So with these kind of questions, they will change the variables. And then if they need to, they can actually ask the instructor, or you can remove this if you don't want to be bombarded by items in your inbox, but it is useful because then you can get a pulse check of who's doing these self-study activities and who is actually engaging with the work. So it's from both sides, it's useful to have. In addition to that, let's just go, once they've answered this, you can see, you can go to the grading area and see how much time they've been on task. So per student, again, if you look at that performance analytics video, you'll be able to get a greater grasp and understanding of the grade book and where grades are placed. Okay, so that's a basic student orientation. You can share that video with them. There are how-to videos. There are some nice how-to PDFs. But most importantly, when you have a big scale adoption, like you guys have in the mathematics department, like you guys have with MyLab IT in the foundation course, when you have close to maybe 1,000, 1,500 students in a big course, you want to make sure that you can have support for students. So if you want to take a picture of this, this is where students go, and teachers. If you need support, ask pearsonsupport.com. The easiest thing is if you just want to resolve an issue, obviously myself and Ashwaq, we handle I handle up to 150 accounts across the whole of the Middle East. So it's very difficult that we will be on calls with you, but we do have a customer service and technical support team. And there is a Saudi line there available for you and for your students. So if you have an issue, it's not practical for students to go knocking on Ashwaq's door or coming and saying, we need support. There is a support 24/7 hub, which will have live chat. If you need a telephone call, you can get a telephone call. And if you don't have the time, you can email, and then they will respond back to you with the necessary details and troubleshoot any issues that you have. So moving to technology isn't as painful as it sounds, but if you do need resolution and support, these are the channels that we have to support you with that. Okay. So lastly, we'd just like to get some feedback from today's session. We've tried to make it less than an hour just so we can absorb all of this heavy content. So if you can scan this, give some feedback, any comments, would be fantastic. And if you have any questions, the questions we can take in the chat. And if you want to unmute, please feel free to unmute. We're happy to take your questions. So I might need to stop this just to see the questions. But you can scan this using your mobile phone, please. And just, it takes like a minute just to fill in the survey. Let me see if I can see the chat. Okay.
If we could, I could
Pardon?
paste the link of the survey on the chat for everyone's reference.
Fantastic. Yes, thank you.
That would be lovely. Thank you.
Thank you for watching our webinar. If you need any support, kindly contact us via our contact information.